Crank this mother. You know how we do it, player. Yeah.
Doing it big right now
on Instant Radio.
Hi, good afternoon. This is RCR Presents Real Discussions. I'm your host for today, Michelle Dorsbert. I want to tell you a little bit about, we're a little excited today. First of all, we have quite a few people in the building. I actually have a studio audience today, so I'm very excited. I'm very excited about that. And I think it's purely about the topic, why everybody came out to support it. So, hats off to everybody for being here and spending the afternoon with us already. It is the Memorial Day weekend. People could be out barbecuing and such, but instead they decided to give me a little bit of their time this afternoon to talk about something that's so passionate to them. And so for that, I thank you. I have guests on the phone. I have people in here, so it's just going to be really a great day. For those of you that don't know, Real Chicks Rock is a movement, a brand, and an organization that I've developed, and it is to empower and inspire and motivate all women. And I think today's conversation is just really awesome because I'm going to have women in the room that don't necessarily look like me, but we share the same passions. And so for that, this is what's going to make it very incredible. We do different things by reaching the masses through our art, the art form. Today, maybe it's art/media, through community service, through our apparel line. Today, I'm actually wearing the T-shirt, and so is one of my guests today. So that's what makes it hot. And we also give back through community service, mentoring, and public speaking. So enough about the brand. We'll talk about that a little bit more towards the end, but I really want to dive into our guests for today. Today, to my left, I want you to introduce yourself. Vanessa, tell people who you are.
I am Vanessa, also known as What Up V on the net. I am co-founder of Rebel Media and also Blends NYC, bringing a little bit of sabor and Latin flavor here to Atlanta.
All right. Virginia?
My name is Virginia Robles Belizaire, or in English, Virginia Robles Belizaire. With that Latina flavor. Oh, I just got cute. Pick up your mic. I'm obedient, as you guys can see. And after marriage of 20 years, just about, I'm very obedient. My husband's right now cringing. I'm a lowly housewife, but as far as my education, it stems pretty much in the health field. Everywhere the health goes, I've been. I.e. doula, which is one of my passions. I love the mommies while they're going through childbirth and labor and what have you, and the fathers too, because I take care of you too. I got to cook and feed you and all that good stuff and sit you down when you're going to fall down. And also have my certifications in childbirth education. I'm also an esthetician, blah, blah, blah. If it has to do with health, I'm all about that. And I'm a student naturopath because we got to keep it going. We never stop with education.
Never stop.
Amen.
Never stop. I have some guests on the phone. Somebody that's crackling. Let me get you first so you can say and then put yourself on mute until you talk. Tora?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Tora, tell the people your name, where you from, and a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Tora Torres, and I live here in Atlanta. I'm a DJ and also founder of Rhythm Revolution and Redwire Entertainment.
All right. Attallah.
Hi, greetings everyone, peace everyone. This is Attallah Pamoja. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. And I'm here, I'm just calling in because I'm out of town, but I wanted to be here today. And I am Attallah. I am an educator. I do wardrobe styling. I do all the things that I love and that I'm passionate about. And I'm from Panama. I was born in Panama, and I've lived in the United States for most of my life. And I'm just happy to be here. We're going to talk about being Latina.
Yeah, we are. And so that's a good thing, Attallah, because I think for most people that have seen you, you seem to be very Afrocentric. Even on the flyer that we pushed out today, it was a throwback picture of you when you had your dreadlocks, when you had your locks. So when people see you, they don't necessarily assume or think or equate that you have a Latina background. So how does that feel for you, Attallah? How has it been for you to be a Latina woman, Afro? You look Afro, you represent the Afro side here in the South, and primarily in Atlanta. How has it been for you?
Well, first off, I would definitely like to say that one thing that we can do if we consider ourselves to be world citizens, please travel. Travel. When you travel, you really learn about people. So if you were to actually go to Panama, you would see people who look like me all the time. Unfortunately, with tourism and so forth, a lot of people have ideas of what someone who is from a Latina country, or I should say, who has that background looks like. So that if you think about people like Celia Cruz, and we think about Jennifer Lopez or Salma Hayek, people have ideas of what that might look like. I actually have people who look like all different things in my background, and I understand that actually, with people who consider themselves to be Latino are descendants of enslaved Africans. They are descendants of European settlers and colonizers. They are descendants of the indigenous people of their respective countries. So we understand that actually that's what Latina is. It's a combination of any of those things or all of those things. So that's what I would like to let people know. And like you said, Michelle, trust me, I have had and heard many people speak Spanish and not know that I understood what they were saying. And they have said things that maybe I didn't need to know. You know? So it's a very interesting experience. But I grew up in New York. Michelle, you grew up in New York. You know,
Yeah.
we know what people look like and who people are.
Yeah.
We have an understanding. It's interesting in the South, though. It has been definitely interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. And because of that, I guess I'm very comfortable in it. It doesn't bother me. But the topic crossed my mind because the dynamic in Atlanta is very black and white. It has been extremely black and white. And I've been here for over 26 years, and I'm starting to see it a little, change a little bit more. It's becoming a little bit more multicultural. But for me, I grew up with Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, people that had a Cuban background, not necessarily the Mexican background up in New York and the Bronx, but it was primarily people that came from the Caribbean that migrated, that lived in the boroughs. And so it doesn't bother me. I embrace it. The more that I see people that sound like what I'm used to at home, it makes me feel like I'm at home. Exactly. So it's just a good thing. But I know that a lot of people still might be struggling with the dynamic, and I don't know. And so that's why I thought, let me just ask the people who are Latina to understand how has it been, especially coming from the north and being down here. Let me ask Tora before Vanessa jumps in. Tora, you're from Pennsylvania, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I'm from born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So not a large Latino population there. So a lot of other things, but definitely not a large population in Pennsylvania.
So by you being here in Atlanta, do you feel people might have a stereotype just based off your name? Because your name has a Latino flavor. So do you feel that people look at you a certain way because you don't look, as Attallah said, like the stereotypes we see on TV? Do you feel like there's any kind of vibration?
I heard a little bit of what Attallah said, but and I'm actually in the car, so I apologize. So it's cutting in and out. But people that if you don't travel, you just don't have the awareness that the community within itself is so diverse as far as complexion and shades and even dialect as far as where you're from specifically. So coming to Atlanta, I mean, it's the South, so there's a different culture in the South. There's a Southern culture in itself, but I do find that people tend to do the eyeball test, and I don't know if that's something that it's just that's an American thing, but if that makes sense. I don't know. Some of you other ladies can probably speak to that as well, but.
What's the eyeball test, Tora? What's that? They cutting the eyes?
Yes, Tora, what is that?
When you look at someone and you make an assumption based off of their appearance and features they have, but you will find that, in my experience, Latinas, we tend to recognize one another. Like, you might see someone and they don't know, but if you're Latina or have a Latino background, you'll say, oh, okay, the curl of the lip, the way, this person is the pronunciation of things. Just certain things that you may be able to pick up on, but people just do a general eyeball test. And if your hair is a certain texture, if your skin is a certain complexion, that people automatically assume that you're one thing or another. And some people would just ask, and I'm okay with that too.
Okay. Vanessa?
Yeah, and I can agree with eyeball test because I'm from New York. I mean, my accent can't be shy
All day.
at
She's
all.
from New York all day.
I'm from the boogie down, you
Yes.
know, so I represent New York really hard. And then coming down here to Atlanta, it was, you know, it was like a culture shock because I was looking for my culture, you know, as far as just, you know, getting along with everyone. And then I look blanquita, and blanquita, for a lot of people I don't know, like I look very more Euro white, kind of like, you know, so I'm light skinned. So that eyeball test I can definitely assimilate with because, I mean, it's just like getting where you fit in, but at the same time, never forget who you are. And, you know, building that awareness around what we bring to the table, who we are, and then sharing our culture with, you know, even though we don't have a predominant Hispanic Latino community. I mean, Latinos only make up 12% of the population in Atlanta, you know, and it's very slim. But, you know, just I can agree with them about traveling. I always go back home. You know, I do that 18 to 24-hour drive up to New York and, you know, always bring my culture, you know, always go back to, you know, with my family, with my friends, and then come back here, build a family, friends, and community.
Right.
And it's beyond just being Hispanic.
Right.
Because, I mean, our origins kind of are from the same place.
They are. They are when you do that. Now, your origin or your family's from Puerto Rico?
So yeah, I'm Castellano. That's why I have a little bit more of a Euro look to me. From Spain and Puerto Rico, and then we migrated to the Bronx. So, you know, I'm a New York Rican.
Yeah,
so
there
at
you
heart.
go. Yeah, we can see that. We can hear that all day. I feel that every time I see Vanessa. Virginia, how has it been for you in Atlanta?
Well, when I first came down here, I've been down here, my eldest is 25, so about 25 years. I've
First
been
of
here.
all, she doesn't look like she has anything that's
God,
25 years
Of
old.
course, that.
4 twins. Got some twins.
Well, I have a 25-year-old, a 21-year-old. They're two men, my two men.
They're men.
And I have 7-year-old twins, a boy and a girl. So I got one princess. Woo, got a princess. Everything is pink. But I didn't realize pretty much anything that was odd about me until I came to the South. Sorry.
Right.
Then once I came down here, then of course I'm two from the Bronx. My father lived in New York. Mommy lived in D.C. So I was a ping pong child. So I went between D.C. and New York. But when I came down here, I didn't know. It was nothing until I landed here in the South.
Right.
Then it was, what are you?
Really?
Because I looked like the quintessential Latina
Okay.
until I let the hair out. Because right now it's like one thing. It's called product. But once we take the product out, then it's one big Shaka Khan situation going on in
Yeah.
here. But if you look at my family, I have an older sister who is the blonde and hazel eyes.
Yes.
I have a younger sister who looks like you.
Ooh, she's
She's
pretty.
got the chocolatito. And
There
that's one
you
thing I
go.
always wanted. I always wanted the chocolate, but my sister got the chocolate.
Okay.
And my other sister, she looks like a white girl until she opens up her mouth. And then it was like, no, she's something else.
Right.
Because there was no differentiating. It was just, this was family.
It was family. Yeah.
Cousins. I mean, my house, when we all get together, it is the reading rainbow in color. We have everything. We have the jabaito, which is the black light-skinned man, and then we have the trigueñita, who looks a little bit more of the Indian, almost like what George Lopez-ish
Right.
Indian color,
Right.
because that's where we come from.
Yeah.
We have the Spanish, yes. And then we have the indigenous people who were already there,
Right.
the Taino,
Right.
or the English, I think they call it Arawak Indians. And then we have the Africans who were brought over.
Wow.
So that mixture made excellence.
Yes.
I'm a bit partial, but hey.
She's a bit, just a bit.
Just a little bit partial. But
Just
we
a
love
bit.
it. But I'm Puerto Rican and I'm Dominican. And my husband, like Attallah was saying about Panama, my husband is from Panama.
Is he? Okay.
And he is a chocolatito
Yeah,
like you.
he's handsome.
I gotta have my chocolate bonbon. Bueno. So that, again, infusing him, because my children now, my 7-year-old twins are asking me, which is why when you invited me to come, I said, oh, I have to speak my
Right.
little 2 cents, because my children go to a private school, and it's pretty much just black and white.
Right.
We're the only Latinos there. And my son asked a question that knocked me down to my knees, Mommy, am I white?
Wow.
And I was like, Papi, no, we're many things, but that is not one of them.
You got my engineer laughing.
And I had to break it down to him, and I had to bring out the maps, and I had to show him from which
Yeah.
islands that we came from, because we did a bit of a search on our African ancestry, and I know it's from the West African side, somewhere around the Congo.
Right.
Not, of course, how can you possibly
Right,
be sure?
right.
We weren't allowed to write or read or anything like that, or all we have was stories. But anywho, I had to break things down for my children and let them see, yes, we may be a little lighter.
But
That has nothing to do with the sangre.
mm,
And for
That's
that,
true.
we have to hold on to it. We have to bring up, as they used to say in our countries, you bring up your color
yeah,
because you want to lighten things up.
Yep.
But I don't say you bring up your color. I say you bring up your character.
there you
That's
go.
right.
And so I'm teaching my children that now. But that question really kind of set in me, Mommy, are
Yeah,
we
what?
white?
Right, right.
Because he plays with little white friends, and they're just maybe a hue or two lighter than he. And then his sister, his twin sister, is a hue or two darker than he.
Wow, wow,
Both came out of me.
right.
But when you see my husband, he's nice, super delicious, chocolate Hershey special. Yes, hallelujah. Sorry, y'all.
Sounds like you miss him. You should have brought him here today.
No. He's at the track. He's doing his thing.
He's a, okay.
He's got the kids.
Okay, all
No
right.
kids, no husband. It's just me. But this is my opportunity to big up his culture, which is the Panamanian
Right.
culture, which is similar to ours, and as much as our mix. And Attallah can speak a little bit more about Panama. I cannot speak on that except the fact that I'm married to one. But just the importance of who we are, identifying, and as Vanessa said so beautifully, sharing.
Yes,
We have to share this information so that people do not remain ignorant.
right.
Yes.
And it starts with the home. So you did that with your children. You mapped it out. I know you do it with Shay. Or do you have to? He automatically knows. Do you have to kind of revisit because of the black and whiteness in Atlanta?
Yeah, and and I will say it's unfortunate that old ways go really hard out here in Atlanta. My son is basically, since we've been out here about 9 years, I mean, it's been really hard for him to identify with his culture because he is very light-skinned as well, and he's also asked me that same question too, and I had to bring back, because we have Taíno in us as well, you know,
Right.
from the Indian part of Puerto Rico and Bayamon, and, I had to educate him on, where we came from, and he deals with a lot of discrimination because he's the lightest boy in his school.
Wow.
And I've dealt with he can't ride the bus because of bullying, and a lot of things because I feel that parents, especially in a strong Southern culture, there's not many of us out here, and,
Right.
and it is the new, Hot Atlanta is the new melting pot and evolution of the Hispanic market right now. And, it's just really educating and just letting your kids know not only about your own culture, but about other cultures as well, so that they can identify themselves, but also see how the same we are,
Right.
and that really, for a child's mind, because their attention span is 5 seconds, you really have to let them know that, yes, there are different cultures, but we are the same.
Right.
We bleed the same blood. So we never look at each other, gender, color, anything like that, because, no matter where you go, it doesn't have to only necessarily be in the Southeast. It's everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's global.
Right.
And, and I feel like they need to kind of like push that a little bit more out here in the South.
Yeah.
To the children.
Right.
Because they don't even know, who they are. They're looking at each other like, you're white, I'm black. It doesn't matter if you're Latino.
Yeah.
You're still white.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of
Or the horrible one that really just twists me and gives me a wedgie every time is all Latinos are Mexican.
Oh,
What is that about?
Oh, we're gonna get
We're
into that.
going to
That's a
come
totally
back to that one.
different-
But Tora,
Sticky
since you have Lennox, you're a mom. He's adorable. I can see you on social media. You're sharing musical influences with Lennox. I mean, because he's not talking yet. So how is it going for you in your home? How are you expressing yourself or the culture with him?
Definitely music, food, dance, conversation, dialogue. I mean, that's a big part of just who I am, and I was raised that way. So it's very important. I mean, just from early on, from when we first brought Lennox home, he was listening to certain artists that were from Cuba and from all over the world. But I mean, that's just going to be a big influence, and that's a big feel strongly about. Specifically, it's important to me because of my situation, and I think I touched on that a little bit with you via text. I didn't really go into it too much, but not finding out until later in life about my Latin heritage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I just want to share with him,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very important. I want to be able to answer questions, and every day in the house for us, it's a learning experience.
It is.
You learn something new every day through music and culture.
It is. Tora, where's your culture? Where the Latin roots come from? Where?
I'm sorry, say it again, Michelle. I'm driving.
No worries. Your Latin roots stem from where, Tora?
Cuba.
Cuba. Hence the love for Lupe and Celia Cruz, and those are the things that you're posting on. We're going to talk about the music in a minute. Attallah, talk to me from an educator perspective. You don't have any children, but you're very motherly. I've told you that several times before. So is it predominantly black and white? Do you see Latino children in your circle? And if so, do you see them struggling with their Latino identity?
Well, definitely. I would definitely say that not just in the South, but in the United States and other countries around the world, there's a name for darker skinned people, there's a name for lighter skinned people, and then there's been this term that came around, and it's very new. Latino is a very new word. My grandmother, she would not call herself a Latino. She would say, I guess that's what you want to say now. That's not a word that's been around for 200-300 years. So I see, some of us, the younger people, and I see children, and even when I was growing up in New York, people would say, oh, I would say I'm Panamanian. They would say, oh, you're Puerto Rican? So here in the South, the children say, oh, you're Mexican. So everybody is Mexican. If you speak Spanish, you're Mexican. So there's a division there in terms of being a white person, maybe, and then being a black person, and then being someone from some part of Asia, and then being Latino, but probably you're going to be called Mexican. Right? So, like everyone is saying, it's really time that we continue to just, speak up and just educate ourselves and educate our children, and to just be prideful in who we are, and just recognize that the human experience, first and foremost, is very varied, right? The experience as any culture is very varied. It's not just one thing. If you go to a Mexican restaurant, you're probably not going to find plantains. But in my household, we grew up eating plantains. So there's little variations in all of the different countries. Half of my family is from Costa Rica. My father's side is from Costa Rica. My mother's side is from Panama. There's different variations there, but there's a lot of things that we have in common.
Right.
And I think that's really what we need to share with our children. Like, it's okay to be prideful, and just to know that, you're a world citizen. You don't have these invisible barriers for our children. You can travel. You can go anywhere. You can speak different languages. You can be open to people who speak other languages, or whose hair looks different from yours, or who their features are interesting to you. And it's okay to ask questions. But I think within, if you will, the Latino community, I think one thing that we just should continue to do is to be kind. Because there's so many different things that's going on internally. There's so many things that's going on in the world. So that's what I would want to teach children. I would want to teach children to be empathetic and to be more tolerant, because they're learning, and they're learning from us, right? So whenever you hear them make these kinds of comments, that's the things that they hear at home. Those are things that they hear their teachers say. Making fun of people's accents. Expecting people to sound and look the way that they do, or their family members, or just being open. That's what we want our children to. We want them to be proud of themselves and open to accepting people for who they are. That's really what we want. That's what I want as an educator, as a model. people don't always know who I am. They don't always know what my background is, and that's totally completely fine. You don't have to know who people are, what languages they speak. That's only important when you start to build a relationship with somebody. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter what size someone is. That's something that the wardrobe stylist I speak on constantly. So there's all these ideas of what a Latina looks like, what her shape should be, or how she should speak or how she should act. And I will let you know that varies, and it should vary, and that's what makes the world wonderful. And I'm so thankful that we are all who we are.
Well, thank you, Attallah.
Beautifully said.
I know.
Very
You
nice.
can't. All you can do on that is we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, we're going to pick up on a little bit of because Virginia is about to bust in her seat about the Mexican, are you Mexican comment. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that. And just the diversity or segregation within your culture, because in some places it's getting global. We're seeing it's getting more visible that darker skinned Latinas are handled different than lighter. And so when we come back, we'll talk more about those. Thanks.
The biggest station in the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
La Lupe, la Gigi, que nos dice la guaracha, el carbonero, la Lupe. A bom, 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 el carbonero, a bom, 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 que desespero, a decidirlo el lo vengo para la planchadora, yo traigo mejora, el carbonero, ay mi barrio obrero, pedricero, vaya arriba, ay no el carbonero, a bom, 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 que desespero, a rendirlo el saco, lo vengo barato, para la planchadora, yo traigo mejora, que desespero, ay mi barrio obrero, San Pedricero, ay dame acá mi saco, dame el mandado, que ese carbonero tiene ya cansado, bombo carbonero, yo soy tonero, soy pedricero, soy guarachero, soy brujero, soy tumbero, soy guarachero, soy pedricero, ya le rama, dale vamos, con la lisa, rama, ya le. Oye, carbonero, me dijeron que eso que te pasó y que porque seguir y que mis huellas, ¡ay, no más! ¡Ay! ¡Ajá! ¡Uy! ¡Dale, dale! ¡Ajá, no más! ¡Dale! ¡Ella, dale! ¡Ay!
Este ritmo sabroso que sabe a canela, ese rico son de la salve plena. Este ritmo sabroso que sabe a canela, ese rico son de la salve plena.
Este ritmo original, ritmo de Quisqueya, tiene el sabor tropical de mi piel morena, tiene ron y tiene sal, tabaco y canela, y es el ritmo popular de mi salve plena, y es el ritmo popular de esta salve plena. ¡Júgale el vele! ¡Ay, no más! Caladito, pero muchas veces, ¡yale! ¡Ay! ¡Chao! ¡Vaya, mi coro!
Este ritmo sabroso que sabe a canela, ese rico son de la salve plena. Este ritmo sabroso que sabe a canela, ese rico son de la salve plena.
Dame un traguito de ron, pasa la botella, dale duro ese tambor que casi no suena, que no se caiga el sabor, que mi cosa es buena. Vamos a bailar al son de esta salve plena, vamos a bailar al son de mi salve plena. Llévale, Lupe, dísele, ajá, no, dale, llévale, dísele, ajá, no, dale. Ay, ya. Onlo, Magdalena.
De la salve plena.
Ay, tócala, tócala, tócala. plena,
de la salve plena,
ay, cielo plena,
de la salve plena.
Ay, ay, no más, jugo le dice los Gigi, no más, que no se me caiga, no más,
Flaco, llámame flaco, pero mi primer nombre es Yacine Dante, el apellido del Bey. Oiga, esos son testigos, la hermosa y el peligro distinto, claro que sí, la verdad, la calle, el pueblo, las fincas y centros, ciudad, calidad, lo mejor, vale más, guerra y vida, amor y cambia, comida, la guarda, pistola, oración, para ellos, damas y caballeros, familia, crianza, la luz en la distancia, querido Dios, vienen más cercana mi vista, mi casa, mis sueños, mi alma. Quiero saberlo, sentir tu abrazo y tu contacto. Muéstrame algo, claro. Amén, claro. Claro, claro que sí. No hay nada más, no hay nada más. Final, no hay nada más. Claro, claro, claro que sí, no hay nada más y no hay nada más, final, no hay nada más. Claro, claro, claro que sí. Flaco. Peace. Huh. Peace, 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 peace. Pow, pow.
Oh, Celia, anybody, you automatically got some, rhythm.
You got to throw the shoulders in there.
Well, we're back, and the ladies are throwing their shoulders as we come back because the music was just took them home. It took them to another place. So welcome back. For those that are just now joining us, this is RCR Presents Real Discussions. Today's topic is our Latino community here in the South. And the first minutes of the conversation have been really good. We've gotten a lot of feedback on it, so thank you for that. I have some guest people on the phone, so if you hear a little feedback, that's what it is. They're driving. It is the holiday weekend, and they were so kind enough to spend their weekend with me for a few moments. When we left the conversation, there was a lot of heat. I saw temperatures go up to my right, to the left on the phone about what are you, Mexican? And so people, somebody's laughing. Tora's laughing. So what are you? Are you white? Are you Mexican or what? And I'm just going to start with Virginia because she is going to bust if she does not talk about this. Virginia, tell us what is that? Why are you so upset about that? It's all Latino, isn't it?
No.
No. Check me.
No, it isn't. Every culture within our culture has its origin, yes?
Yes.
And it's, well, let's just say, we're here in the South. Let's talk a little bit about the South.
Yes, let's talk about the South, Atlanta in particular.
Yes, if you have an A-town alien, right, in conversation with, let's say they're African American. So you have an African American A-town alien who is talking to a New Yorker.
Right. We had that.
That's going to be very distinct.
Yes, there is.
It's clear in how they
Yes,
speak.
it
It's
is.
clear in what they eat. It's clear in how they dress. Everything is just clear amongst one to another.
Yes, agreed.
So if you have, let's say, our Caucasian persuasion to come into this conversation with our two African Americans, one from New York, one from A-Town, and they may have gotten it mixed, saying the person that was from Atlanta was the New Yorker and the New Yorker was the person from Atlanta. Instantly, one of those two people are going to correct
Right.
the one who
That's
is
true.
without the information.
That is true.
Because they're the ignorant one. Not ignorant is a bad word. It's just without information.
There you go.
And some people get their little panties in a twist when you use that word, ignorant. It's okay. We all start out ignorant, and as we live, we learn, and then we have the information.
Right.
So embrace it. It's okay. It's not a bad thing. Just come up higher.
Yep.
So
Positive.
Of us in the Latino community, you can't put all of us in one bubble.
You can't.
It is absolutely impossible. We're going to bust it anyway. Trust and believe that. But that was one of the things when I first came down here to the South.
Yes.
That was it. They didn't even ask me.
Yeah.
At the, I'm about to speak in Spanish. In principio, at the
You can
onset,
speak in Spanish.
they
It's
didn't even
a
ask
Latin
me what
conversation.
I was. It was like, oh, you're Mexican. Wait. Slow down, pause, and just stop right here for a moment. Let's just breathe. I'm going to breathe this one through because I just want to snatch you. Don't tell me who I am.
Okay.
And we're going to take that another little side also when we talk about how even our African Americans perceive us. Because I've been called all kind of things outside of what I am. Yes, and also and
Go
that's
down
very
the
hurtful.
line.
It's really bad. It's among us, even in our own culture. Let's just go ahead and add that to the Puerto Rican, chop it up. Yes.
Yes.
And the Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, and Attallah can speak for the Panamanian, and what baby girl name? Torres?
Yes,
Como
Cuba.
Maria?
Cuba.
Yeah, she can speak on Cuba because we all have it, even in our own home. When I say home, I'm speaking about our specific cultures.
Right.
That's also an issue. Like
Yes.
I said earlier, my sister Diane looks like Cheryl Teagues, blonde hair, hazel eyes,
Right.
but she got a badonki. So you're like, baby got back. However, my chocolatita sister Margarita is chocolate.
Right.
Beautiful. I mean, you can put her in so many different cultures and people would not know until she opens up her mouth. Beautiful girl, but her, like you were speaking earlier, when we're going to talk about the body differences. She came out with top heavy and the long back.
Right.
There's nothing there. There's no bump. I came out curves too
Very
much.
curvy.
It's
Very
not
curvy for
Jesus
those
head.
that can't see it.
Jesus,
It's
a
extreme.
lot.
This body was made for Zumba. We're going to talk about that later.
Ooh,
Right.
Anywho, but there's an issue with the color. There's an issue with the body.
Yes.
Body types and body frames, and we all deal with it.
Yeah.
It's unreal and it's unnecessary.
It is.
But going back to the hot topic about being called Mexican, I don't like being called anything outside of what and who I am.
Okay. Okay.
So that is when I snatch
Okay.
conversation and correct people in their ignorance, step them up to the next level
Right.
of having information, whether they want to keep it or not.
Right.
That's on them. But they're not going to get out of my presence without having been taught.
Okay.
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
And I think too, like with me, like I'm more of like I look more blanquita, and it's more white girlish. But you know, I could really relate to the younger generation. Like my son, he started school down here, and they were taunting him and calling him Mexican, 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 and like he thought he was Mexican. At one point, because he's just like, I'm just Mexican. I'm like, no, and that's where that whole, like I mentioned before, like, you know,
Right.
you had to educate your kids on things. But like even, you know, I didn't really realize how big the Hispanic community was down here because of that stereotype. Until, and I will say House in the Park was my first taste of actually seeing, and I think Virginia introduced me to a few of her crew out there when we were hanging out, and I was passing by and I looked around and I saw the beautiful flags. And I was like, I was just like, oh my God, I saw the Puerto Rican flag, Dominican flag, Cuban. I mean, the whole
Right.
the whole Caribbean was in there.
Right.
Everybody was
Right.
in there.
Right.
And I was just like, wow, like where is our, you know, where's our fight? Like as far as just, you know, building awareness about even other cultures. Like, you know, that's the only time you see it
Right.
is when we have these big, you know, events here in Atlanta, when we have park events, you know, I mean, and then most of the time that's why people are saying, because a lot of the Hispanic community, doesn't matter who you are, you're not making a voice for yourself, you know, and it's really unfortunate because it spills over. It's a diluted conversation. You know, people are afraid to talk about it. They you know, I shouldn't have to tell you I'm Puerto Rican just for you to get, you know, I'm Hispanic. I have culture behind me, you know, so like anyone else,
Right.
you know, it's just
I think it's in everything, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
you get that even in the Caribbean. For African, for
Yes.
blacks in the
It's
Caribbean,
everyone.
it's
The West
very
Indians.
the West Indies.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very different. So there's Jamaica, there's St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, St. Lucia, you know, Antigua, right? So there's all these different ones, and you can Trinidad, and you can, and I can do some when they talk. I'm like, I know
You
you're
can
from the
say
Caribbean,
dialect.
but
Yeah.
there's just certain slang or words or things that they say. I'm like, no, they're not Jamaican. They're and I have to, and then I ask, where are you from? And then, but there's still like a common bond because you're from the Caribbean. There's still this underlying, we're still brothers, we're still sisters, because at the end of the day, the exposure is almost the same. At least from the foods, the sound, the music, the dress, the importance of family, belief, like having to be centered, and the way we dress, you know, just, or dance, expression of dance to music and that type of thing. So there's similar things, but I totally agree with both the ladies here at the table. Attallah, did you have any comments about us being us? Look at me, I'm being us for today. Us being considered Mexican instead of anything else?
Well, I mean, you know, I think we've touched on it. I think some of the ladies have touched on it, and I think that it, you know, it just takes education, and it takes really actually wanting. You have to actually have to want to actually know about people. You have to have that interest, and so those seeds really just need to be planted. I think that they really need to be planted. But I think that amongst ourselves, we can just start doing that. We can start doing that and recognizing that who people are is very important. But first and foremost, it's important to them, and it doesn't need to be that important to anyone else. I tell people that all the time. There's a lot of things that I am, right? So me being from Panama, it's important to me. It doesn't have to be that important to you, but you can just respect. That's really what it comes down to. You can just respect. You know, we talked we're talking about the whole Mexicans being a large group of Spanish-speaking people here in the South. So that is the reason why that's the go-to country of choice for people. I think even in the United States, that's the go-to country, you know, because that's what people are kind of more familiar with. Mexican food is extremely popular in the United States. So that's just what people are comfortable with. So I would like to be able to do things where, you know, I would like to be able to connect with more people who are Latina in the South, and it be more of an understanding of the varied, like of how varied we are. I think that we should start doing that on our own before we expect others to have an understanding of us, we should really have more of an understanding of ourselves. So I think that's really, really where it starts. If you are online, you see stories about Afro-Mexicans, Afro-Brazilians, and Brazil, outside of Africa, that's the largest concentration of African people, of black people outside of Africa. There's more black people in Brazil than anywhere else in the world outside of Africa. But a lot of people don't know that. So people tell me, oh, I didn't know there were black people in Panama. And then I meet people and they're like, everyone I know from Panama is black. So it's really about your journey. What do you want your journey to be? Do you want to know about what's going on in the world, or do you want to just be, walking that journey by yourself? Or you want to stop along the journey and really see, really see what's popping. Really see what's popping. It's a wonderful world out there. And if anybody who knows me personally, if anybody who's seen me, they know that I do absolutely anything that I want to do. And I don't do what my Panamanian family tells me to do. I don't do what black people are supposed to do. I don't do what light-skinned people are supposed to do. I don't do what people who speak English are supposed to do. Really just being yourself. And as I like to say, design your life. That's really what we should be doing. And being Latina is a wonderful thing. They use the term Afro-Latina. I use that. That's fine. It's all good.
It's all good.
I feel like it's serious, but I feel like it's not that serious. I feel like there's always been so many different kinds of people. It's always been that way. And we're just learning more. And thank goodness for the internet. And thank goodness for a show like this. I have not had this conversation openly before. So I'm thankful for this conversation.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. I think it was important I think it was important to have, because I met all of you guys in the house community on the dance floor or doing business or something, buying the shirt or and I just was just wondering, how is it? Because I know it's still we're still very color struck as a country, and coming from a multicultural city, and then you live in Atlanta and they think it's multicultural. I'm like, you have no idea. You're getting there. It's getting better. It is evolving. It's getting huge. Better. But I'm like, I'm still one of the two questions, white or black. But then there's so many things that's in between that I just felt like, well, how are people handling that? And another thing that I wanted to talk about was, as a woman of color in the States, right, there's segregation in the black community. There's light, red bone, whatever you want to call it, and then there's dark skin. And there's always been that struggle, and there's always been a preference, and it's always been a different type of acceptance, one over the other. I think now that society is starting to, thanks to Lupita and people that look incredibly beautiful with dark skin, that people are like, it's not that bad that she's dark skinned or she has this color and this, that, and the third. So it's those types of things that happen. It's silent, it's stealth, but I feel it. I feel it. It happens. Now we put this other layer on top of that where we're not straightening our hair out anymore. So now it's this afro hair and very natural. So now it's that on top of that that people have to get used to. And so in dealing with that, for me, from a show, and you pick up the paper or you read something that somebody was had a crown in Brazil as Miss Brazil or maybe Miss Argentina, just forgive me the specifics, and they took her crown away because she looked like me. Her complexion was mine. And from what I could read in the subtitles, because everything was done in Portuguese, I would assume, the people were very upset that she was voted as Miss So-and-so, and it wasn't a lighter version of that. And I was like, very interesting. So it's not just happening within the African American community per se, or in these states, United States. It's happening in different parts of the world where unfortunately lighter is accepted, or it seems to be more beautiful, or that's more of a trophy. That's more, you really doing something if you got that, or you have that, versus someone that has a darker hue. So I want to share that, put that on the table for the Latin community, the ladies that represent all different hues today. Right. Look at that, how that works. All different hues today. How do you feel about that? What's up with that?
I think that history repeats itself. You know, we have been, this is a topic of conversation that's happened year over year from us growing up even till now, and the millennials are facing it too. And I feel like the millennials actually nowadays are giving it more light because they have more power, they have more of a voice, and times have changed.
Right.
And whether you like it or not, I mean, you know, it's something that we're going to have to always deal with. Unfortunately, because there is a script. And there's many of us that fight that script and break that mold.
Right.
Because, I mean, just like a radio show like this, you know, I mean, we need these type of platforms to build awareness over, you know, break the stereotypes.
Right.
You know, but unfortunately, there's that script that is somewhere, you know, within whatever language it's in.
Right.
It all reads the same.
Right.
And, you know, it's just really not participating in it, and just like I think Attallah was saying, just, you know, find your journey, stay on your journey, and those people that are not open-minded to change or not open-minded to see, you know, the differentiation between all of us. I mean, it's not even one culture, it's all cultures, you know, and you know, stop keeping that trend alive.
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, that's one thing that I would say personally that I would like to see change.
Right.
You know, because we are out of the box thinkers. We are strong women. We have a mission in life. And then when you raise another being,
right,
you're actually, you take yourself out of the equation because you really don't matter anymore.
Right.
You need to build awareness to them.
Right.
You know?
Right. Right. Tora, did you have anything to say on that?
Can you repeat what you? Yeah, I missed some of it.
I was saying the question was, there's a lot of segregation, unfortunately, in communities, lighter versus darker. Just wanted to get your viewpoint on that. How did you feel about that? And have you experienced that yourself?
Specifically within the Latino culture, I mean, you can look at different countries and see that they're having the same struggles.
Right.
If you look at Cuba, you realize, and it's very prevalent that darker you people, you know, they're not owning businesses, they're not, you know, they're just in certain positions. I mean, you can see it in Brazil. I mean, it's all over, and it's deep rooted. I mean, this is something that's been happening for hundreds of years.
Yep.
So, and I heard a little bit about someone mentioning as far as, you don't look Mexican, or something happening in the South, in conversation in the South about being Mexican and not being Mexican. Did I hear something about that?
You were asking a question, Tora? Say it again, Tora.
I'm sorry, we are breaking up. Hold on 1 second.
Poor thing, she's trying.
Hello?
Yeah, we're here. Tora, can you hear us? We lost her. All right. With that, we're going to take a break, allow Tora to call back in, and we'll be back in a few minutes, but we'll finish up that conversation a little bit, and then we'll talk about dating, marriage, relationships, and all of that thing in the Latin community, because from what I see, I'm on the outside, I'm looking in, you guys tend to stay within your culture. I could be wrong. And we're going to open it up. Do you find that it's more interesting to date outside of your culture, or you find that your Latin men are spicy enough, or what? We're going to talk about it, because those that are listening find Latin women very attractive. So it'll be good to understand what's your viewpoint, any obstacles, what is your mom saying, what is your family saying when you date outside of your culture. Yeah. We'll talk about that when we come back.
We're about to do some things now. It's about to get hot in here. My armpits, y'all.
That was Tora.
A veces parece que nos odiamos, pues pasa el día y apenas ni nos miramos. Nos miramos, ay, ay, ay. A veces parece que somos extraños, porque la noche transcurre y ni siquiera hablamos. Ni hablamos, ay, ay, ay. Todo esto
This is crazy important.
In the mix. The biggest.
Y si acaso consigo el sueño contigo, te acuestas y no logro adivinar tu pensamiento. No sé, pero me imagino, no estás soñando conmigo. No sé, pero me imagino, no estás soñando conmigo. Comunicándonos algo, podemos vivir en paz. Si sentimos que fallamos, comuniquémonos más. Comunicándonos algo, podemos vivir en paz. Si sentimos que fallamos, comuniquémonos más. A veces parece que nunca nos vimos por las tantas noches que ambos a espaldas dormimos. Dormimos, ay, ay, ay. A veces parece que nada intentamos mientras nuestra cama testigua lo que deseamos. Lo que deseamos, ay, ay, ay. Me acuesto, pero no duermo ni olvido. Y si acaso consigo el sueño contigo, te acuestas y no logro adivinar tu pensamiento. No sé, pero me imagino, no estás soñando conmigo. No sé, pero me imagino, no estás soñando conmigo. Comunicándonos algo, podemos vivir en paz. Si sentimos que fallamos, comuniquémonos más. Comunicándonos algo, podemos vivir en paz. Si sentimos que fallamos, comuniquémonos más.
The Gillette Mach 3 Turbo.
This is crazy important.
In the mix. The biggest station in the world. Playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
Don't go nowhere. For sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuning into the very best. It's yours truly, Jazzy Fizzle, Fizzle, Fizzle. And this is Instinct Radio, man. Tune in, baby.
Hi, welcome back. I think we got Tora back on the phone. Tora, you there, Tora?
I'm here.
We missed you. Vanessa, do me a favor, pass the mic. We missed you. So we were talking about, and I think you were just about to talk about it, and then we lost you on the phone. We were talking about the somewhat segregation or discrimination within the Latin community. Me as a woman of color, African American, I experience it already, but then it seems to be surprising that it's happening even in the Latino community. So we just wanted to hear your thoughts about that.
I mean, it's definitely an issue. Colorism is big. It's a major issue. You see it in the media. You see it as far as representation with things like when you turn the TV on and you look at movies and the TV anchors and all of that. So, yes, it is a big issue. I think we want to not focus on it as much within the Latino community, but I mean, it's there. You feel it. So to ignore it it's like you're living under a rock. So even with historical information, I don't know if anyone there has had the opportunity to watch some of the shows that have been even on PBS. There's a gentleman by the name of I'm sorry. Someone said something?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a couple of documentaries that he actually mentioned he called it the whitening of history. So if you go to the Dominican Republic and you see some of the statues and the sculptures there, you see that some of the founding fathers have obviously they were African in descent, but now they look very European. Well, we know that that's happened here in the States and in the United States. So it's colorism, and I guess I'm going to use the term whitewashing. That's definitely prevalent.
That's a good word.
In this community.
That's a good word. I'm going to say this. I've been a little selfish. I haven't been saying the phone number because I've been wanting this conversation all to myself. So for those that want to dial in and chime in and have some input, the number is 478-569-6474. That's 478-569-6474. So very good word, Tora, whitewashing. I think it is. I think that unfortunately when we come into society, people have already carved out where we're supposed to be based on what we look, our demographics, our body type, the way we speak, our education, etc., etc. I like what Vanessa said in the fact that we have to break the box, right? We have to come out of that and break those stereotypes by just being who we are. Exactly. And using the gifts that we have and just getting them out there. And Attallah talked about it, just respect me for who I am, no matter what I am. Just respect me for that. So because I know that different cultures take bringing other people into their family very seriously. You look and you see, you go to weddings, there's a lot of traditions enriched in it. Some people are already lined up to be married as soon as they're teenagers. They already know who they're going to be married in different cultures, right? Here in the States, we tend to do things a little differently. Some cultures are, kind of more westernized, like, you can marry who you want as long as it's in the name of love. It's not really a big deal. But I wanted to ask our Latino ladies, how is it, did you date outside of your race, your culture? How was it? Was that better, different, versus dating a Latino or Hispanic man? I'm going to look at Vanessa first. I'm going with Vanessa first. Yeah.
Well, I have dated outside of,
yes,
Hispanic.
Okay.
When I did, have someone that was Hispanic, I mean, our cultures were so Americanized.
Okay.
You know, and I come from, like, my background, I didn't grow up with the, you know, full family right on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I actually started learning more about my culture after the age of 5.
Okay.
And then from there, I didn't even speak Spanish till I was 16.
Mm.
And I taught myself. I bought $130 worth of books, and my 3 Colombian girlfriends helped me put it all together.
Wow. So, wow.
Yeah, so I really didn't have, like, very cultural
Mm-hmm.
roots as far as who I am. I educated myself on who I am.
you.
I wanted to know, you know, especially I grew up in upstate New York, which was predominantly white.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came down to New York, when I was about 15, 16 years old, like, to live fully.
Right.
Because I was back and forth, you know, my whole life. And then I was just like, wow, like, there's so much of me.
Yeah.
Like, I can resonate with, you know, my culture more, and I was more intrigued.
Right.
So then, you know, as far as, like, dating and relationships, it was never really, I don't look at it like, you know, it is really all in the name of love.
Okay.
And who you really, you know, align yourself with and who you're compatible with. I've just never looked at gender and color and, you know, having to be with a Latino.
Didn't matter.
No.
Didn't matter. Tora, I'm going to ask you, and it may be unfair because you didn't really know or understand your Hispanic background until much later in life. But do you find that it makes a difference, or it doesn't make a difference at all from a relationship perspective?
Does it make a difference as far as you said relationship?
Yes.
I don't necessarily know if it makes it, I mean, you know, just on a different level. For me, it's about connection.
Right.
You know, and who I'm connecting with, you know, spiritually, and, you know, on a number of other levels.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of it, a big part for me, I spent a long portion of my life living in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh.
So there is, you know, most of my friends are Boricua. So if you live on the west side of Cleveland, I mean, you date this person dates this person, that person. So it's a very tight-knit and close community there. So I can't really say that it was an issue.
Okay.
I've never dated an Afro-Cuban. So I can't. I don't know. My experience is a little different, but I think within the community, I found that people tend to be, you know, pretty cool and pretty open to, you know, if, you know, you're Afro-Latino and you're dating someone from Dominican Republic, I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's my experience personally, and it could have a lot to do with where you live geographically. You know, if you're in a larger city.
Very true. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. It makes a lot of sense. Attallah, does it really? I don't think it matters, but I'll let you answer that. I mean, again, you have a very diverse background. Your mind is so open. You're such a worldly person in the fact of all the things that you do and the things that you've been exposed to. And the fact that you're a model, right? You've modeled and you've done those type of things. You have had options, I'm sure. So does it really make a difference for you? I mean, you know, I'm just keeping it real. Does it make a difference? Do you have a preference as to who you would like to be in a relationship with?
I do have a preference.
Hmm?
I do have a preference, and you know the kind of people that I prefer. I prefer kind people. PeriodPointBlank.com. That has been my experience. I have been able to date a couple of people in my life, and it's been great experiences, I will say. But for the most part, we have a lot of stereotypes. You know, you hear Latina women are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
African men are controlling.
Mm-hmm.
Black men are this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you sit and you talk to people and you hear what they say all kinds of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they're based on people's experiences.
Mm-hmm.
They're based on things that we see on TV and, you know, stories that our elders and so forth have passed down to us and all of that. But at the end of the day, I like men who are kind. You understand me?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, for real. That's like, check, thanks.
Yeah.
Here we go. And everything else we'll be able to figure everything else out after that. And if you And if you live a little bit, I think eventually that will be your standard as well too. I mean, not that it's not already, but as we live a little bit, that's what we'll all probably come to grips with. That's really the most important thing. So, you know, a lot of the traditional things that maybe our parents may want us to do, and, you know, I think it's great to hold on to some traditions that are beneficial, but if they're not personally me, if they're not beneficial, if they're not purposeful in my life, I just don't do them anymore. Like my family, they eat pork, they eat all kind of stuff, they do all kinds of things, they do some things, and I just don't do some of those things anymore, you know? My family, most of my cousins are half white. Most of my family members have married, my father's side, they've married white women and white men. I mean, my family just looks like, you know, a potpourri of the world. Yeah. So, you know, growing up in New York, for me, you know, growing up in the 80s and the 90s in New York, you know, it's just, you know, I just grew up around so many people from the Caribbean, people from the continent of Africa, and other people who speak Spanish as well. And, you know, Chinatown, and just eating all these different kinds of food. So if you want to, please date whoever you want to date, please.
That's good. Virginia, tell us, is it different? Does it matter? You have a preference?
I don't think it should matter. As a global mindset,
right?
I don't think it should matter. I love how Attallah keeps bringing back, and I think that should be like the word for today. Like Sesame Street, the word for today is
kind.
I think that's great. I can speak for me in as much as my natural eye, what my eye likes and what pleases my eye, what my eye goes toward.
Tell me.
Is my chocolatito.
I knew it.
I must have my chocolate.
You gotta have
my
chocolate.
Is nice, but dark chocolate for me personally is best. My first husband, because I'm working on husband number 3 now. Yeah, I said it 3. Okay, get over it. So my first husband was African American from Atlanta. Beat that.
Really?
This New Yorker found a man from Atlanta in Virginia. He was going to Norfolk State University. Blah, blah, blah. Long story short, that's what brought me here to the A.
Okay.
That didn't work out. Papi had to get his pink slip. Done. Next, husband number 2. African American from California.
Right.
Totally California. I'm in this mindset, which was very interesting in how we got down, because I'm totally in New York and he's so East Coast, West Coast. Hence X. That was cool. That didn't work out. Papi number 2. Poof. Watch him fly. He went. Papi number 3.
Papi number
and
3.
He's not trying to go nowhere. I think he pretty much sunk himself down and then put some roots up in me.
Yes.
And he is Afro-Latino from Panama. So that is working and has been working, and we have been working it. For next month will be 17 years married.
Really?
Yes. Yes,
wow.
The man is strong, people. That's all I have to say about that. The man is strong.
You're something else.
I'm a lot of things.
You are something else.
Ooh, it's a lot.
Because we've never really had a conversation. You know, hi, you know, do all that. Nice, good to see you. Oh, I'm wearing your shirt. She said, I'm wearing your shirt. She takes a picture. But I'm learning some things.
It's a lot. It's
you
a,
come with a lot.
Yeah,
it's not bad, but it's a lot.
It's a lot.
I gotta meet him. Big ups to him.
And he would be here.
Yeah.
But he had a track and field event that he
had to go to. Big ups to him to manage you. You married to you.
No. You said that manage
you.
You said it.
I said it.
Yeah,
it came out.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
The
but
sassiness.
The stage prayed up because I'm a lot of things. I'm a lot to handle.
But you probably love hard.
I love permanently. That's how I
love. The audience in the studio said,
Yeah, I don't know how to turn it off. Even with, again, I was married before.
Right.
I will always have a hint of love.
Right.
For the 2 that gave me my 2 sons. Because every time I see my 2 20-year-olds,
right,
that's the very best thing from those situations.
Agree.
So I was always, that's going to be a permanency. However, that, fly in the sky, I'll do anything for you. No, you can forget about that. That belongs to papi number 3.
Number 3, papi number 3.
Yes, that's it.
Is that how I should address? Should I
right?
address him as that when I see him? What's up, papi number 3?
Oh, you can address him as a lot of things.
Ooh, Vanessa said, I don't want him. I don't want him. He wants you, baby. He doesn't want me.
Yeah.
He wants you.
No, yeah. Yeah. I put something in that soup. That's what it happened.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. I put something in that soup.
Amazing.
See, mind you, the other side of my island is Haiti. So we still put a little, you understand me? When the man said chicken foot. Yes, sir. Since he started it, see, he's feeding the monster. He's feeding the monster.
Well, these are the cultures that we want to understand, because Tora, I think it was Attallah, she said that Latino women are crazy, African men are controlling. There are these stereotypes, and then people feed into the stereotypes. They have expectations, and so people date and they have an attraction because they think that you're going to be muy caliente, like all the time. Like you're going to go off, you're going to hit it from 0 to 60 in 10 seconds. You're going to go off, you're going to put your finger in the air, you're going to tell them off, and then, man, the sex will be like, my God. So they're thinking.
All those things are right, though.
You see. She's. Why am I even feeding you the bone? Because you're going along with it.
No. But those. I mean, when you're describing me,
right? But that's you.
You can keep going, because
but that's you. That's not necessarily the culture. That's not necessarily Latina women.
I know a lot of dry, pasty Latinas.
She said dry and pasty.
I said it. Elmer's, anyone? Yes.
Dry and pasty.
Yeah.
And what is that? That's just who they are?
The dry and pasty ones, and my definition thereof, are the ones who... come on in.
Attallah?
What did you say? Dry what?
Dry and pasty. Dry and pasty. Yeah. And what's and how do you define them?
The dry and pasties are the ones who, I would say, agenda-driven. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that give their boyfriends or husbands the coupons. We know about the coupons, don't we, ladies? Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are they. That they can turn their passions on and off. That's going to best suit them.
Okay.
Exactly. I don't fraternize among those. I'd rather have the heated, passionate sisters.
Okay.
At all times, because we're passionate when we love. We're passionate when we dislike. We're passionate when we hate. Mm-hmm. And when I say hate, I'm talking about dislike to the point of I want to remove that far from me because it's not adding anything good within or to me. Mm-hmm. And if it's not going to add anything good with or to me, then if it's going to be in me, I need it out. Mm-hmm. So those things I want out.
Right. It's the other. That's Lennox. That's Lennox talking. That's Lennox. Tora, we hear Lennox. Lennox wants to get in on the conversation. I think that's Lennox. But that's okay. She'll call back. So it's all about passion for you. And then I think that's really the best representation for the Latino community. Yes. The women is passionate. Mm-hmm. That you guys are very passionate, very strong driven, very hardworking.
But you know what?
Yes, tell me. I don't know until you tell me.
You know what? That I think that speaks to I think that speaks to individuals as well.
Yes.
Because I think what happens sometimes is then you also end up having to live up to this expectation. Mm-hmm. I call it exoticism. There's this feeling of exoticism that people who are not a part of your culture will have. There's some people who they think, if you're Latina, you're like dancing all the time, or you're always making arroz con pollo, or you're just always singing, or that you don't experience things that everybody else experiences. Right, so you can be a passionate person or whatever, but the exoticism is this idea that these ideas that people have of what it means to be Latina, or what it means to be German, or what it means to be anything, and then unfortunately you might feel like you have to live up to those expectations. And you know what? Maybe you don't eat rice and beans every day, right? And it's okay. It's okay. So, and that's the thing. People have these expectations, like they think you only do one thing or you only act one way. And, that's not necessarily the case. We are still having a human experience. Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's okay. Like we've talked about, that we're open to dating different people. Mm-hmm. And, hopefully we're open to traveling and experiencing other cultures and all of that. just like hopefully anybody else might be interested in doing as well.
Right.
So yeah, I try to stay away from the exoticism because I meet men who are from the United States who identify as American or whatever, and they're yearning for this. I don't know if they think they're going to talk to me and then it's going to be like they're in the Panamanian Carnival. And it's like, no, you know what? I just want to go can we just go, I actually just feel like having some hummus and some pita. And, can we just sit down and just chill out? Can we just sit down and chill? I'm not on 10 right now. I'm turned down right now.
Yeah.
And I'm still me.
Still you.
So, I think we want to make sure that you still have yourself intact.
Right.
Like you still have yourself intact. I kind of had to learn that from my family. Like my family, sometimes they can be super turned up, and sometimes I'm not that turned up, and I'm like, it's okay. And my grandmother would say stuff like, she might call my brother and I Yankees, or my grandmother or certain family members, they'd be like, you African, you're more African than Panamanian. And then, so it depends on the day. It depends on what's going on my hair. Right now, my hair is going straight, right? The photo that you used, Michelle, I had locks. I had locks for 11 years.
Yeah.
I grew up eating pork. I grew up eating all kinds of stuff. I've been a vegetarian for almost 15 years.
Right.
So the Latina experience is an experience that is special, and it's very similar as well to just many other people's experiences as humans. And I'm sticking to that.
Yeah, you are. I want to talk, Attallah, about language. The language. Do you find that you're able to speak Spanish or Latin or Panamanian and correct me, because when I put the flyer out, Attallah was like, did you mean to say Latino? You said Latin community, it's Latino. Like, she corrects me on this stuff because I don't know. So tell me about the language, Attallah. Are you able to speak Spanish to other people, or get me straight? Tell me what you do.
So I've lived in Atlanta for about 14 years or so, and I will be frank, I have not really met many people from Panama. I've actually been meeting people from Panama recently. Most of the Spanish-speaking people that I've met have been of Mexican ancestry, and the way that I learned Spanish was at home with my parents. But my parents are both bilingual. My mother grew up going to international school on the Panama Canal, and then I came to this country when I was 2. So my parents spoke mostly English to us, and that was, my mother taught me how to read. She taught me how to read in English. So English is where I am definitely more fluent, and I've been able to speak Spanish to my students. I've taught my students, Spanish words that they could use to just, basics in terms of early childhood and early elementary. So, because of the way that I look, I'm 6 feet tall myself, most people do not automatically assume that I'm from a place that people speak Spanish, because they have an idea of what that might look like. So, like I said, I remember growing up on a bus in New York with my mom, and there'd be some Puerto Rican chicks, I'm saying it, there'd be some Puerto Rican chicks, there'd be some Dominican chicks, and they start talking, and all you hear is "saca," and then I'm like, wait a minute, they're talking about me and my mom. Right? And my mother, oh my goodness, I'm Tamara's daughter. She would get right back with you and shock everybody because they didn't necessarily assume that she spoke Spanish. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, no matter what language you speak, be careful. You don't know how many languages people speak. You don't know what language people speak. Be careful when you just get into environments where you're with your people, where you're with your folks, and you just start speaking, and you start talking about people negatively. And sometimes people know what you're saying. So I just want to say, if you're a world citizen, keep in mind that there's other people around you that are also, that could possibly speak and understand the way that you do as well. So that's how I am. I try not to have language barriers. I know some words in Swahili. My last name is actually Swahili. My mother named me after Malcolm X's daughter, so my name is Arabic, Attallah Shabazz. Shabazz is my middle name. So for me, I try not to have language be a barrier, and I try to recognize that people, they have their story. They have their story, and that's wonderful.
That's great.
And I'm thankful for my story.
Man, you got a good one. Vanessa, you said earlier that you had to learn.
I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for, My mother in particular, she was definitely an Orthodox Latino woman. And so, you know, here I am, you know, so I'm thankful for her.
Got it. Thank you, Attallah. Vanessa, you were saying earlier that you had to teach yourself Spanish.
Yeah, so like our family basically told us the basics. You know, like the ones that grandma can jugo, leche, like juice, milk, the basics, you know, as a kid to relate for, you know, food mainly. And then, you know, how you feel about things, if you're sad or happy. And then growing up, I really wasn't around a lot of, you know, Hispanic culture at all. And when I moved to the city and I realized, wow, I really approached, you know, home. I needed to get my game up, and I've always been a go-getter. So I went out there and I was reading books for 1 to 2 years on trying to put the words together, and I worked with a lot of Spanish folks. So it was nice because I was saying everything backwards. And they were like, you're saying it right, but you're saying it backwards. And they switched it around for me. And it actually was beneficial on my part because in the workplace, the only reason why I was able to really excel at 18 years old, I was the youngest person working at HSBC International Private Banking. In the front office, and moved and got promoted within 3 months because I spoke Spanish to back operations. Wow. And I was 18. Wow. And it's because I spoke both languages. Right. So, I mean, just really like, I mean, that was an eye-opener to me, and really wishing that I learned earlier on. Right. But then being able to also, you know, teach others along the way, because they had to learn with me. Like, they had to hear me, you know, practicing and going. But it's something that I should have, you know, kind of known since the beginning, but I didn't, and it's okay. Yeah. You know, it's just the language, and it's so beautiful to know exactly. And then from that, just learning French as well, and learning other languages. It's just it's not only about Spanish. You know, it's there's other. Because they said once you learn one language, it's easier for you to learn others. Yeah. But what I struggle with, and I'm gonna come to Virginia in just a second. But what I struggle with is that everything is changing, right? So when I go to the ATM machine, it tells me English or Spanish, Espanol. When I go to the store, some things are written in English, some is in Espanol, Spanish. But yet, my school system is not enforcing that dynamic, right? So how does my child, who is born in Atlanta, I mean, he has a New York mother, Atlanta father, Caribbean influence, that you know, how do I teach him that? Because it's not being offered, but the world is changing. The world is changing, and this isn't something that's overnight. This has been it's been like a couple of years back, and you pay attention to the signs and you see it. And I'm like, I need to be able to put him in a position where he can understand multiple languages, because that's where we're going, and that will make his stock go up more as a African, as a black child. Being able to speak a different language, awesome. Right? So I don't know how to do that, but we'll get there. So Virginia, you always speak Spanish?
No. Let me tell you something. When my grandmother come to this country, she come from Dominican Republic, and she come into this country, and one thing that very, very important for my grandmother is that all of us be able to speak it in English very good. And we got to read it and have to write it, so that we don't have to deal, we don't have to do the maid, we don't have to do nothing like them tell us to do, because they, you know, they run the world, and we have to do what them tell us. Right. But then you have the next side where you have the one with the accent, so. And them not completely sure. Who you is, what you is, because you sound different from them. Right. So them. Both sides of the story, you have to get your mouth right. Yes. You gotta get your mouth right. Right? So my grandmother, when she came to from the Dominican Republic here, she came with a broken heart, because she wanted to marry the man of her dreams, but she married the man that was going to bring her to the next level. She didn't want to have. She was in love with an African-Cuban, Afro-Cuban man. But she married the pale-faced Puerto Rican man because he was U.S. Hello. Okay. And she didn't want to deal with and have her children deal with
Right.
the atrocities that she had to deal with
Right.
back in her country, being a black woman.
Mm.
Albeit she was Lena Hornblack,
Right.
so she passed that brown paper bag situation.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
I said it. I brought that back.
You sure did.
I know. I brought that back. But she wanted for the next generation to
Right.
not have to deal with the struggles that she had to deal with.
Yeah, that's real.
And even when she was, I mean, right before she died, she's still talking like this, and don't drop the door. What's the matter for you?
Wow.
Her English never improved, which she drilled it into us, her kids, her grandkids, and she just still, please, English, English, English. Don't lose your Spanish,
Right.
but English, English. But we did, as a matter of fact, kind of lost it along the way.
Did you?
But the area in, when I was with mommy, I was in DC, and then I spent some time, not too much, but enough time with my father in New York. Both of which were most like a Spanish Harlem.
Yes, yes.
And DC is called Adams Morgan. Those who know. And it was very much, it was Latino and black for the most part, with sprinkles.
Right.
And of course, New York, there's, I mean,
Of course.
who has to explain New York?
Right.
Nobody. Forget about it. So we'll leave that there. But my grandmother, it was really, really, it was ultra important for her that all of us were able to speak. So if we're having a telephone conversation, you did not know that we are from
Yes.
the island them, si somos Latino or no, or if we were white American.
Right.
Especially when we put on, because we talk like this at home, right?
Yeah.
We like, whatever,
Yeah,
we,
right.
we shoot it up, we chop it up and all that. But once we get on the phone, it's like, hello,
Yep.
how may I help you?
Mm-hmm.
And that is what it was so important that for her,
Right.
for her mind's eye, for her heart to be lifted up, that we didn't have to deal with what she had to deal with.
Awesome. That's a great story. That's great. See, I didn't know that.
Oh, yes.
And that sacrifice.
That is, as a passionate woman
Yes.
who loves permanently, I cannot, my brain cannot conceive of that type of sacrifice,
Right.
that she left the love of her life and proceeded to have children, 5
Right.
kids with this
Right.
with this man.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very purposeful.
Yes. Yes.
That-
Yeah.
I struggle with that.
Yeah.
But I give that woman so much honor, because on her back, on her hands and knees, she was a maid, and she was, she did a whole hospitality thing,
Right.
because she talked like this all the time.
Right.
So that's not going to suit very well when you're doing an interview, and you cannot speak the English.
Yeah. It's amazing, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. My mom and my grandmother are from Jamaica. And so I'm firstborn generation here, my sister and I. And it's similar. The women that I find in the Caribbean are very passionate and purposeful, and amazingly so. Education is very minimal to them, but they can see things. They're very visionary. And so they make sacrifices extremely early on, and for the extent of their whole life, for their family.
Very pioneering.
Very pioneering. So to have my mom is a twin, and her sister come here when they were 13, and you are still in the back making sure you are at a place that you can come join them, and then you do domestics in upstate New York, and you take the train from the Bronx, and you go up, and people watch your kids while you're doing that, and then on the weekends you hustle, you press hair. You do hair on the side, and in the meantime, you're sticking the money under the mattress, because at the end of the day, what you just want is to go back home. So her goal was to be able to go back home. So she sent all that money, built a house, and actually was able to live in her house as a free, independent citizen of Kingston, Jamaica.
Awesome.
But Jamaica had got so bad, it was that we couldn't let her stay there. It was just people were killing and looting, and it just was horrible. So we brought her back. But still, her goal was accomplished. And we're talking about 6th grade education. To be able to understand that there's a better life that I want for my children. It's almost like, damn, love, it'll come. Right. It's almost like that. It's not that's not even for negotiation. That's correct. It's like, I got to do this for the kids. And I think that, I know that, not that I think, I know that we all have on the phone and in the room, that is inside of us.
Sure.
Even though I'm not Latino, but I still get it. There's something about you, in you, that is like, for the purpose of the kids, for the purpose of my family, for the purpose of my man, for the purpose of the business. You're just going to just push it all out. And whatever comes and attaches itself to you, if it fits in line with what you're going to do, so be it. Correct. But if not, deuces. I cannot be bothered. I can't sacrifice. And I think also too, the collective body of the people that are on the conversation for today, there's something like that's tapping you ancestrally, that's bugging you, that's telling you owe something. Like this, there was a price for you to be able to just do this right now.
Yeah. Pass the baton.
You understand? So there's something that's just kind of like, and there's a certain way you carry yourself, the way that you represent your culture, the way that you love, the way that you raise your children, the whole thing, because there's something that has been passed, your grandmother, your mother, etc., etc. And so it's real, it's tangible, it's real. And I think it's these things that need to get pushed out. The essence of Real Chicks Rock is to push and allow people to understand there's realness in all of us. And this is the things that we want people to tap into us as individual. And then as a collective body, we're awesome. On that note, we're going to take a little break. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the dancing, the moving, the culture, the food, the whole thing. Look at Virginia. She's hot just thinking about it. So when we come back, we'll talk more about the dances and the culture, just on the social side. I think we were really intense. Now we're going to have some fun with it when we come back.
Yay.
See, and that's funny that in the world playing all of today's hits. We're listening to Instinct Radio.
Don Omar y su orquesta típica.
Yeah, it's not about making a hit. It's about making a classic. In the R.E. Hank Zagria. La Familia.
Latino Community.
Remix.
Que lo que hay, pa' tú no padre, Nicaragua, Ecuadoria, Panameña. Señora, ahora la moda. They say they got my name right next to the veterans. They say I introduced reggaeton to Americans. Well, my tone, the corazón, Coleon. This is no proper, ain't it? Other rappers copying it. Got it from my body, from his blood, I was painted. A los español, yo quiero hablar inglés. Mami, ven, que bien que tú te ves. Boteate. You see, I know we stay with dons and kings that'll mold you. Reggaeton Latino, remix, told you.
Mucho en español, pero meto mano también. Young Carter, bomb harder than anyone else with 20 a death. I mean, Remy, your help, but we don't need that. She in the middle of the color quit. Listen, the weather is hot, my sleeves are frío. New York, the Bronx, my caserío. Oye, no te pongas guapo conmigo. Te deja tirado en el piso. Te van a ver en primer pasto. Por ser tramposo, usted no guapo. Y las mujeres que le gusta el gordo permanecen con nosotros sin los panty puestos. Tú te imaginas si tenemos sexo toda la noche como si iba preso. Pa' que lo sepas, soy boricua y yo muero pa' la isla bonita. Estamos.
Esta es nuestra herencia latina, la voz que representa nuestra raza cósmica. Y que me oigan en las Antillas, el reggaetón latino se queda, pa' que lo bailen desde España, Suramérica. El reggaetón latino se queda en los Estados Unidos y Centroamérica. El reggaetón latino se queda, sientan el poder. El reggaetón
Coco LA. Fat Joe. LDA, The Chosen Few remix. Chosen Few.
The biggest station in the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
All the basics.
Yeah, we are back. We were moving and wiggling. These two, listen, Tora and Attallah, I don't know. If you two were here, I don't know, 4 spicy, passionate women in the room. I don't know if I can take it. I can't take it. These two here are just ready to go off. Let's talk about that a little bit because I just am alumni. My godfather is Puerto Rican, so I just feel like I should just be some part of the Latino community because I love you guys. And so my best friends growing up were either Puerto Rican or Dominican, and I just feel the love. So I move the hips without problem. I don't have an issue with the dance. Now, what it is I have to catch up with Virginia because when you're not on the house scene, baby, where are you? What are you doing?
Ay, nena.
Right.
Yes, well, I am a lover of dance. A part of course, our cultures, and I'm sure all the girls will attest to this, music is the core.
Yes.
Music and food.
Mm-hmm.
When you come into a house, the first question, are you hungry? We're going to feed you. It's going to happen. But we can't even cook unless we got our music going on. Can I get some love?
Right,
yes.
right.
It's not even, we can't
and
cook,
some tacos,
we can't clean
sometimes.
the house.
Shoes.
Well, I mean, we could barely even breathe. I mean, first thing in the morning, the music.
The music.
So with dancing, dancing is just as soon as I got up on my legs, probably even before then, on my, when I was crawling, I was the hips were going. So I have to dance. It's like a must.
You got to do it.
It's an absolute verifiable must. Cannot breathe unless I'm moving. I have to dance. So when I'm not dancing house, then of course it's salsa, merengue, bachata, and then I messed around and started dancing kizomba. Yes, I said that. Ooh.
That's that real sexy
look
with the partner, and he's moving, and you guys are synced in one. That stuff.
It is one of the most central. See, back in the day when I was growing up, I was brought up in a beautiful era with my old age, and I'm about to put myself on blast.
Put it out. Go ahead.
I am 29 lying because I got a 25-year-old. If you guys were listening, you would have heard that I was a 25-year-old. But I'm still 29, so we'll go with that. But I was still raised in the 70s and 80s, so that there you go. Boom,
there you go.
On blast.
Right.
But I was raised in a time where all this musical fusion was going on, right? Salsa was cooked up in the Bronx.
It was.
Right?
Yes, it was.
We come from, the guaguancó and the guajira on the Puerto Rican side, and of course the merengue on the Dominican side of me, and all that good stuff.
Yes.
So I was there in the midst of all of the music,
Right.
fusion happening, and the dance fusion. So salsa was something before altogether different.
Right.
But first it was mambo, and they had the cha-cha-cha,
Cha.
stuff like that. People hardly ever do cha-cha now. We called it cha-cha-cha.
Right.
Now they call it the cha-cha, because now ballroom has
the ballroom dancing has it. Dancing with the Stars has it.
So I'm trying not to.
Dancing with the Stars has it. And somebody who doesn't look like you, barely sounds like you, is critiquing the dance.
And telling me to have my frame.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Did you see all that passion just
came out. Yes.
Anyway, without hurting a whole lot of my friends, because I have a lot of ballroom friends and stuff like that. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but that's not I don't know what that is, what they're doing now.
Right.
So I have to learn what they're doing in order to dance with them, because that's not salsa. Salsa happened in the 80s, I'm sorry, in the 70s, and it was totally beautiful by the 80s.
Right.
And by the 90s and now the 2000s, it's some type of machucao mess. But it was beautiful to be a part and to see all that happening. And it's almost like it's doing the same time also with disco was fusing into house.
There you go.
So, I mean, I was right there in the midst of looking at all of that and just, dancing. And it's an absolute must. And my family, we're all musicians of one or another. Either we play an instrument, we sing, or we dance.
Really? You play an instrument? No. You sing?
The congas, bongo.
Really? Percussion? I'm putting it out there.
My uncle's a big time percussionist. He was in DC. He's all over DC. If you look like DC's, history.
Yes.
You see him in his big mother-sized afro all over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't know
My
that.
aunt Raina, actually, she's visiting with me this week. She's probably at the house. Surely, she might be listening. I don't
Hopefully.
know. But she used to sing along with him. My mother, back in the day, in her heyday, Miss Thing used to come home with trophies. Y'all can't hear me? I know I'm loud. Am I not loud enough? Bueno. Mommy used to come home with all kind of trophies and money and awards and stuff like that for her dance.
Wow.
And I would sit back and I would just look at her and I was like, if I spin 12 times like that, am I gonna throw up? Because mommy spins
Just
her
spinning?
unreal. We have a new one here in Atlanta, so I got to give a quick little shout out to the Spindian. Oh my gosh, she's awesome. Her name is Nia Patel. She can spin 100 times and stop on a dime. Boom. Who does that? That woman right there.
That can do it.
There are some seriously wonderful dancers here. And I still haven't learned from her, but I'm going to take her class.
Do you
hear that,
teach?
Nia?
You teach or no?
No.
You
I
just
don't
participate.
have that anointing. That's something from God.
Okay.
I don't have that one. I can dance though.
You can dance.
If I see something that I like, right? I see somebody bust a move, and I was like, oh, I like that. I will snatch
Did
that
she
from
say
them.
bust a
I
move?
said
She
bust a
did.
move. I dated myself again, but I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
That's
anyway.
real late
Still too fine. Let's just
80s,
hold on to that.
early 90s. That's what that
Anyway,
was.
I will snatch that move, whip it, flip it, make it mine. Boom. Now it belongs to me.
She said, boom. I'm going to go to the phone. I'm going to come to Vanessa. Attallah, the dancing. I see you dancing. You normally put the finger in the air when you're dancing. Do you salsa?
That's just some energy from one of my ancestors, honey. I don't know where I got that from. I also grew up in the church. So that's just a combination of everything and who knows what.
Okay.
It really is. It's just one of those things. It's like you kind of just feel in the energy or whatever, and it's a way to communicate without saying, I like this or I love this. When you can't use your mouth, baby, I just put my hands in the air. I grew up in church. The church I went to, it was predominantly people from the Caribbean, other parts of the world. Put your hands up when you feel something. So it's just a little sass. It's just a little sass that I picked up along the way, I guess.
Okay. I love it.
That's what I would say.
I love it.
That's what I would say. It's a
I love it.
that I picked up along the way because I'm totally not a choreographed dancer.
Okay.
I grew up in a musical family, but I'm totally not a choreographed dancer. I'm definitely like, whichever way I feel like going, that's where I'm going to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I love to watch. I love to watch people who are performers who dance. I do love to watch it, and I just think it's wonderful. And I think just moving your body is good for your health. So I just try to dance whenever I get the chance, whenever I feel like it.
It is. It's
In my
literally.
family, we grew up listening to compa. That's music from out Haiti. We grew up listening to calypso, soca, salsa. I
Everything.
later learned about bachata. Of course, merengue was definitely very popular. So just all those influences. Growing up in New York, reggae.
Yes.
I mean,
Everything.
and back in the 80s, it used to be called reggae español. Now they call it reggaeton.
Reggaeton.
So right, yeah. So it's just like all of these influences. They just that make up who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just super thankful. I'm super thankful that I've been able to, have these kinds of experiences. I don't know how much time we have left, but my grandmother's name is Virginia. People would say Virginia, or they would say Virginia. And I have a family member also named Vanessa. So it's been so wonderful listening to all of you ladies.
That's
I'm like,
beautiful.
I feel like I'm home. I feel like I'm in New York because I don't get to have this kind of experience often here in the South, I must say. So it's been really wonderful connecting with all of you ladies.
Don't make me come.
I don't know if we're sharing. I don't know if we're really sharing like how we can stay in connection and stay in contact with each other. So I'm online at Attallah Shabazz Pamoja on Facebook. That's my legal name. And online I'm Design Our Lives. That's the word design. OURLIVES. And I do wardrobe styling. I model. I advocate for those who need advocating. That's children. That's women. That's myself. I'm an educator, and I'm just being more creative in the way that I communicate with the world. And I want to thank Michelle so much because this is what Michelle does. She brings people together with a common goal. She's opening up platforms and forums for people to be able to have these kind of conversations so that we can learn from each other. And I look forward to seeing you ladies really, really soon. And just enjoy the rest of our time and the rest of our day and the rest of our weekend.
Yes.
Thank you, Attallah.
So, yeah. I know we'll be all dancing somewhere together soon. Sooner or later.
We will. Let me jump over to Attallah because I am getting a little short on time. So I'm sorry for Tora. So Tora, tell me a little bit about the dance, if at all. I know you dance when you DJ, and then tell me what you got going on next.
Coming up next is actually an event that you are putting on, Real Chicks Rock. Women Against Domestic Violence.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we at Wild Pitch. So
Yes.
I'm definitely going to be dropping some Afro-Latin beats
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So look forward to that. And I try to really put that into all of my sets. It's something that I've just done for a very long time. So if you want to hear some good music, the other DJs, they're dope. They're going to be bringing a lot of different styles, but I'm definitely going to be bringing some of the Afro-Latin music, some rumba, a little bit of Cuban soul in there. So you can also catch me. I'm one of the resident DJs for Atlanta Sunday Dinner. So you'll see me on that bill as well. Ecstatic Dance, if you like to come and dance, and it's a more of a free-spirited environment. They like to say no shoes, no booze. That you're just free to dance. There's no egos or anything there. You're not there to impress. You're in your own space and enjoying yourself and also enjoying others. And I tend to play a lot of world music. So that's what I do, and I love to do that. And Michelle, I just want to say thank you for having this conversation.
You're welcome.
For bringing these ladies together.
You're welcome.
Most of you I know. There's someone in the back that I heard, but I don't think we're in the same circles. But I would love to get together with all of you ladies. And we should do a potluck.
You will.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that. I got to wrap up real quickly. Vanessa, tell people what you're doing. Tell people.
Ooh, if I'm not throwing it down on the dance floor, because my steps range from the doo-wops to, disco, hustling, to breaking, to house, to hip-hop.
Breaking.
You see me get down on the floor. I'm actually throwing it down in the kitchen.
Yes.
I have a catering company out here. It's called Blends NYC. It is Latino Community, food. I brought New York to Atlanta. The biggest thing that we didn't talk about is also the food. And when I came down here, I didn't want to cook. I was tired. I moved. I want to eat, but I wanted a little bit of something to remind me of home because I was a little homesick, and I couldn't find it. And the closest I found it was at a friend's house, and she made Cuban food. So it was like we're all, and let me just clear the air on that. We all make the same thing. We just use different spices.
Right.
Okay, so there's many ways to make sancocho. There's many ways to make rice. There's so many different ways. But yeah, so I'm gonna be doing that. We have a few events that are coming up that you can follow us. Follow it on Facebook as Blends NYC, or I'm What Up V. You can look under my links, WUTUPV. Just search that in any search engine, and all the pages come up. So we have that, and as well as I also just launched Rebel Media. I'm co-founder of Rebel Media with my partner, Fallon Davis. And we actually are bringing on a few different ventures. And I've been in marketing for 10 years. I work as an AVP for one of the biggest banks out here in Atlanta. So, yeah, just a lot going on. I mean, there's too much that I could wrap up in 1 minute.
Okay.
So.
All right. We thank you. That's good stuff.
No, thank you for having us online. Giving us a platform to have a voice. It's really important.
Oh, you're welcome.
You need a part 2.
We do. Virginia, anything you want to shout out, people? Anything you got going on real quickly?
I want to shout out my friend who had to leave earlier, Anana Harris Paris. That is my sister soldier. I thought I told you. And she has her own dance group called Afri Salsa, which is a beautiful fusion of West African dance meets salsa. And she also has Sister Care Alliance, and also a big, huge self-care platform that we should all know about. So please look at her. Me, I'm at home.
You're
That's
home.
what I do.
Staying
I take care
beautiful.
of my kids.
Good things. This was excellent. A lot of things going on. I got to shout out my team. Always got to shout out my team. I love my team. The Justice Team League, that is Titus, Cometic, Courtney, Stan, Ken, Dre, Drew, and J Ray. Thanks to you guys. Sean, thank you. Couldn't do what I do without her. She helps me visually. We hope that today's conversation you were able to take away with something. We used the word ignorance a couple of times. We used the word kind. We used being a world people, just being a human being. The essence of this was to break down those barriers and give people an opportunity to share and express themselves and kind of cut away those stigmatisms, because I, as a woman of color, faced those stigmatisms myself, and I had my own. So today, just for a couple of minutes, we got together and we shared, we cut up, and we were transparent. So we hope that you guys have a better understanding of what it means to be a Latino in the South, in Atlanta, because that's where we're based. And we hope that you enjoyed the conversation. For me, as Tora said, I got some things coming up. I try to stay busy just like Vanessa. Vanessa's busy. She's my shero. I try to stay as busy as her. But I do have Real Chicks Rock presents We Go Against Domestic Violence. We're going to have that on July 9th at Wild Pitch Nightclub, 255 Trinity Avenue in Atlanta. Proceeds from that event will go and help people that are in abusive relationships right now. So again, I've not experienced that, but I can only imagine the pain. So we want to do something in giving back. If you want to get at me, realchicksrock.com. I got Real Chicks Rock on Twitter. I got Real Chicks Rock on Instagram and Facebook. That is my time. It was wonderful. It was fiery. It was hot. It was spicy. You guys enjoy the rest of the afternoon. With that, continue to rock on. Real Chicks Rock. Thank you.
In the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
Stay off of the leaves. Do not play in the grass or climb the trees. You can't breathe, let alone you get stung by bees. Lord Jesus, your chest might freeze up. 13 months old with a lung disease that almost took my life twice, brought me to my knees. A system not designed for you to achieve. Police squeeze, library lies, a teacher deceives. But I rose to the top of my class like Kareem. I like the Lakers in the 80s, so worthy I'm Kareem. Not MTV, but my sweet 16s. Married the mic, a love supreme. I'm clear it was a miracle the way I wedded the rhythm. Spiritual looking back at it, a lyrical exorcism. A half of the Afro-American dream. The rap or quarterback for a professional team. I'm still standing. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still standing. Still standing. Never been a trigger man, crack never pedaled that. Opposite a jigger man, double my expectancy. Can you believe it? Look, no bullet wounds, not paraplegic. Still standing like the Pledge of Allegiance. Moves made both emotional and strategic. My heart disintegrated in a million pieces. Listen, that's life. Deal with it, press reset, download pain, write a thesis. Perform for millions, Brazilian visas. Transcontinental, indigenous divas that speak multiple languages for unspeakable reasons. And still there are places that I've never been, like the Statue of Liberty, my knees will never bend. Except for when I'm speaking to God, it feels like halftime, I'ma reach for the stars, I'm still standing. Still standing. Still standing.
never change a thing that brought me here today. Cause it helped me grow, and it helped me know which way to go and which way to not go. And I'm so grateful, yeah, I'm so grateful, 'cause I'm still